This is the Craig Fahle Show on WDET. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear about a new program called Green Works. Frankly, a new company started by Goodwill Industries. That's next. Just about 7 minutes left in the hour. This is the Craig Fahle Show on WDET. And while we're talking about jobs, one of the organizations here in town that does a lot to find employment for people is Goodwill Industries of Greater Detroit. And when they were struggling to find employment for a number of the people they were retraining and training, they decided, why not start our own company? Green Works Incorporated, the first standalone enterprise that Goodwill Industries has begun. My guest right now is Lindsay Chalmers, Vice President of Business Development for Goodwill Industries. Lindsay, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me, and good morning to you.
It's nice to have you with us here. Green Works, why start your own company in this regard?
Well, we had been doing the work, Craig, for Detroit Edison, DTE, for 67 years. And about a year or two ago, they decided that they were going to concentrate on their core competencies, which is producing juice.
Of course.
And so they really wanted to kind of shed some of the activities that didn't meet those confines. So we were approached to see if we would take over that division and take it outside of the company, which we were delighted to do. And it took about 14 months to consummate that deal, but it brings the potential for more jobs for Southeast Michigan on almost an immediate basis.
Well, you know, we were just talking a couple of moments ago on the program about ex-offenders, and I know this is a group that Goodwill Industries has been working with for a long time. Is this the type of venture that can create some of those types of opportunities that these gentlemen were saying don't often exist?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In fact, I was listening to part of that interview, and I was thinking that certainly is part of our population. Goodwill's mission for over 90 years here in Detroit has been simply to find employment with people or for people who have employment challenges, and certainly being a returning citizen or an ex-felon would fall into those categories. And your previous caller was correct, because if they don't have references, credentials, history, so forth and so on, they're really left out in the open and without a chance. That's what we do, and that's what this will do. This new enterprise will allow us to go way beyond the confines of, for instance, the original parent company, DTE. We can take it to other municipalities, to other utility companies, et cetera, and at the same time develop jobs for exactly those individuals that we're talking about, people who wouldn't get a chance otherwise.
Well, give me a sense, if you could, Mr. Chalmers, what we could potentially think about in terms of the number of jobs created, how large this venture could get.
Well, I think we've already in the past 6 weeks we've added 5 positions. Okay, 5 positions again for people with employment challenges. Now, those 5 positions did not exist before. We've got 5 more slated before May 1st. We could reach probably 40 or 50 before year's end. And it really is just dependent upon expanding the business model.
Well, and then, as you're creating a new venture, that requires people to actually go out and sell the idea. I mean, are these positions that are going to be wholly within this company that you've created, Green Works?
Yes, they will be.
Okay, so I mean, there's going to be then a mix of manual labor and professional labor that's available here.
Oh, absolutely, sure. Goodwill is actually a social enterprise concern, and what that means essentially, Craig, is that, and this is not widely known, is that we have many, many business enterprises that don't differ from the private sector. The distinction, though, is we're leveraging the power of business to provide a community benefit, and the community benefit in this instance is to create jobs that didn't exist before.
And that's the purpose of this, which is different than the purpose of most companies, and that is solely to make a profit. Obviously, you want to make some money so you can keep funding this.
Sure.
But that's secondary to the idea of creating jobs.
Well, it's part and parcel of the same thing. I mean, you can't fulfill mission without revenue. But because of the business practices and the business principles that we exercise, we're no different than every other private enterprise out there. So we have to create a revenue stream in order to fund the mission. So they do go hand in hand, and we're able to do that with the expertise that we have internally.
Now, there is competition for the type of work that you're doing. You're not the only company that is doing this. How do you address that issue, and can you deliver the product for less than your competitors?
Yeah, and actually that's an interesting question, Craig, because truth of the matter is there's not a lot of competition out there.
Yet.
This has been, yes, that's correct. But yes, we can become very competitive very quickly. We've been doing this, like I said, for over 6 decades, so we really know what we're doing. Other people at this juncture are going to have to catch up, which is the nice part about it.
And so, when you look beyond DTE Energy, as you mentioned, you were doing this for DTE, and this is, basically recovery of materials.
That's correct.
Is what you do right there, separating metals and everything else that can then be recycled down the road. Mm-hmm. Is there interest from a number of other firms for the work that you're doing right now?
Yeah, there actually is. We've done some some scouting in the last 6 weeks, and we have a lot of meetings set up with other utilities, municipalities, and even actually some completely different industries. So, yeah, I mean, essentially what we're doing is we're taking the recycling to a new level. It could be surplus, damaged, end-of-life assets, but we're returning them into the economy, maybe in that form, having been redone, or maybe in a completely different form, including a commodity, which we'll take to the commodities exchange. But, the thing that really is closely aligned is the purposing of all of these things, because Goodwill, as I mentioned, is, trying to find training and employment opportunities for those people with challenges. And it's no different. Green Works, their activities are going to be recycling resources instead of human.
Yeah, well, I hate to cut you off, but we have run out of time. But again, you're looking at potentially $4 million in revenue this fiscal year alone. So congratulations on the new venture.
Well, thank you.
Lindsay Chalmers, Vice President of Business Development for Goodwill Industries of Detroit, the new program called Green Works, a new company that they have started. This is the Craig Fahle Show on WDET Detroit, Wayne State's public radio station.